Welcome to today's Explainer. Let's be honest, we're taking a comprehensive and kind of dense guide from Dr. Drain on Illinois plumbing and sewer line insurance and transforming it into an easy-to-follow checklist for you. Look, if you own a home, this is probably one of those topics you try to avoid thinking about, right up there with roof replacements and property taxes. But today, we're going to break down exactly what you need to look for before you sign on the dotted line.
So let's dive right into this absolutely crucial question. Because the shock of an unexpected, massive, out-of-pocket repair bill is a nightmare scenario no homeowner wants to face. A lot of folks just assume that if a pipe breaks underground on their property, their standard homeowner's policy has them covered. Unfortunately, that assumption usually leads to a really rude awakening. That's exactly why specialized plumbing and sewer line insurance exists, and why understanding the fine print is just incredibly vital. To cut through all the confusing jargon today, we're going to use this 6-step buyer's guide. We'll hit the hidden Illinois plumbing threat, decoding coverage and boundaries, navigating those sneaky exclusions and gotchas, doing the math on limits and payouts, handling claims and contractors, and finally, maintenance and your responsibilities.
All right, starting with step 1, the hidden Illinois plumbing threat. Living in Illinois means dealing with some pretty brutal environmental realities that drastically increase your chances of a leak or a clog. We aren't just talking about standard wear and tear here. The state experiences heavy freeze-thaw cycles that put immense, literal strain on underground lines. Combine that with natural ground movement, older historic plumbing layouts, and highly invasive tree roots that seem to have a sixth sense for seeking out moisture in your pipes. Yeah, you've got a perfect storm for pipe failure. The big takeaway is that you absolutely must start by matching any policy you consider to your property's specific risk profile.
Moving right along to step 2, decoding coverage and boundaries.
Okay, this is absolutely crucial. You have to nail down the exact boundary measurement point before you buy. If your policy says it covers, say, from the foundation to the utility line, you need to know precisely where that line is drawn in the dirt. Why? Because it can completely change based on local service arrangements. Trust me, you do not want to find out during an active sewage backup that the broken section of pipe sits 3 feet past your covered boundary.
And this is exactly why you have to read the definition so closely. Coverage is often drastically different between the interior plumbing inside your house and the exterior service lines, the underground supply or sewer lines running outside. Many of us just mistakenly assume a policy covers the whole shebang, but actually, the service line and the interior plumbing are treated entirely differently in the eyes of an insurer.
So when you're evaluating a policy, actively check if it covers these specific things. Yes, you want the underground pipes covered, obviously. But what about connected fixtures, the cleanouts, the valves? Furthermore, does the policy just cover patching up a repair, or will it actually pay for a full pipe replacement? And here is the real hidden gotcha: excavation and restoration. Fixing a pipe means bringing in heavy machinery. Does your policy actually pay to restore your torn-up driveway, patio, or expensive landscaping after the digging is done? If not, you could be out thousands of dollars just fixing your yard.
All right, step 3, navigating exclusions and gotchas.
Keep an eagle eye out for these hidden traps, because this is where plans differ the most. Even the most comprehensive-sounding plans might deny your claim if the backup was caused by a tree root intrusion, or if the pipe simply corroded from old age. And here is a totally absurd one to watch for: repeated clogs. If your line clogs, gets cleared, and then clogs again a week later, some policies will actually treat that as multiple separate claims. That means you might instantly hit a cap or have to pay multiple deductibles. They also frequently exclude pre-existing damage or problems caused by improper installation down the line.
Which brings us to a super practical piece of advice. If you already have a known issue, like a drain that's historically been a bit slow, or you're buying a home where an inspector noted a potential problem, get it in writing exactly how your insurer will handle it. Clarifying this stuff before you hand over your premium prevents incredibly frustrating claim disputes when you actually need the help.
Next up on our checklist, step 4, doing the math on limits and payouts. 2 policies that look identical on paper might pay out wildly differently based on just a few hidden mechanics. First, are your coverage limits annual or per incident? A $10,000 per incident limit is a lifesaver compared to a $10,000 annual limit if you happen to have back-to-back emergencies. Next, check how deductibles apply. Are they per event? And watch out for specific coverage caps. A policy might say it covers up to $10 grand overall, but hidden inside are subcaps that only allow $1,000 for excavation. Finally, check on depreciation. Will they pay for a modern, like-for-like replacement, or will they only cut you a check for the heavily depreciated value of a 50-year-old pipe? So you always have to step back and ask yourself this: is the limit actually realistic? $5,000 in coverage might sound amazing, but when you factor in the massive costs of digging up and restoring a concrete driveway in your specific neighborhood, is it actually enough? You need limits that reflect the real-world construction costs in your zip code.
Moving to Step 5, handling claims and contractors.
When a plumbing emergency actually strikes, speed and clarity are literally all that matter. A strong policy makes this entire emergency workflow totally understandable. You need to know exactly how claims are initiated and how fast they're going to schedule an inspection. You also need to know how they handle the diagnosis phase. Will they cover the cost of a camera inspection or pressure testing to actually find the leak? And crucially, how does emergency stabilization and authorization work when you just need the flooding to stop right this second?
During a crisis, you do not want to be guessing the answers to these questions. Find out beforehand if you are locked into their specific approved contractor network, or if you actually have the freedom to call up a trusted local pro you already know. Also, be acutely aware of their documentation rules. Will they deny the whole claim if you didn't snap before and after photos, or if you're missing specific maintenance reports? Get total clarity on this before your pipes burst.
Finally, Step 6, maintenance and your responsibilities.
Insurers can and often do deny claims if they decide a backup or break was caused by neglected maintenance or if you did something prohibited that worsened the leak. Remember, insurance is there for accidents and unavoidable failures, not for problems that could have been completely prevented with some basic homeowner care.
So how do you prove you've done your part? Paper trails and consistent care. Keep every single receipt for professional cleanouts or inspections. Maintain a servicing log. Take basic preventative steps, like directing your gutters and downspouts away from your foundation to prevent the ground from getting saturated. Throw some simple drain strainers in your sinks and tubs, and whatever you do, address repeated slow drains immediately. Don't just wait for a full-blown backup. Doing these little things dramatically improves your chances of qualifying for coverage when disaster inevitably strikes.
Which brings us to the end of today's explainer. Look, the best insurance policy out there is the one with incredibly clear definitions, realistic limits, and absolutely zero surprises when you file a claim. So take the specific details about your life, your zip code, your home type, the age of your pipes, and use this checklist to demand the right protection from your insurer today. But as you dig into your policy, ask yourself this: if the literal foundation of your home's plumbing is this exposed to the fine print, what other hidden vulnerabilities are lurking just beneath the surface of your property line?